Implementing a participatory ergonomics process. Overview: Traditional ergonomic practice. P definition/background. Who is involved in P programs? P in small workplaces. Success factors for organizational change. Barriers to the P process. P blueprint: traditional ergonomic practices. Traditional intervention approaches. Fit a task/workspace to a worker. Recognition of risk, WRMSDs. Employee guidelines, laboratory findings, statistical modeling. Notion of accidents has changed. Typically, not reiterative and often does not consider how changes create problems upstream/downstream. Effective in creating a problem-solving culture? Traditional practice is typically just focused on a single workstation or production problem. 3. Failure of traditional approach. Not poor science. Ergonomic information, knowledge, is not being properly adapted and applied. Karaivik, Lee, Yao, and Stevenson, 2005. Example: what can I tell 30-year veterans at a fish processing plant about how to cut fish? It can be tough to tell people that they should change what they have been doing for so long. Workers or management may not understand or are not interested in change. May believe that it is too costly. 4. How do we adapt and apply this ergonomics knowledge? Participatory ergonomics represents an intervention style to work within a systemic approach to ergonomics. Antle, 2008. Background on P. Rivelis et al., 2006. P interventions/programs are used to reduce work-related musculoskeletal disorders in workplaces. Grew out of quality circle experiences in Japan and participatory workplace design processes in Northern Europe and North America in the 1980s. Background on P. Supported by unions, health and safety sectoral agencies, and health and safety associations. Rivelis et al., 2006. P programs can be implemented as part of an organization's constant improvement process and should be budgeted and evaluated. P programs' improved ergonomics can lead to increased productivity. Reported outcomes from participatory ergonomics interventions include decreased injury incidents and lower compensation costs, Laing et al., 2005. P definitions. The involvement of people in planning and controlling a significant amount of their work activities, with sufficient knowledge and power to influence both processes and outcomes in order to achieve desirable goals. Wilson and Haynes, 1997. 10. P definitions. Participatory ergonomics is the adaptation of the environment to the human, ergonomics, together with the proper persons in question, participants. Vink, 2005. Practical ergonomics is necessary with actors in problem solving. Karinka, 1997. Participatory ergonomics. Antle, 2008. P definitions. There is no common consensus on a definition of P, Antle, 2008. But in all P descriptions there is one common component: the involvement of stakeholders in the process. Failure to involve these individuals may lead to their negative interpretation of the need for an intervention. Who is involved in P programs? Participatory ergonomics. P requires key company stakeholders to be involved in the intervention, at all stages of the process. They account for the traditional ergonomic measures, as well as the organizational and employee/management factors. Participation can either be direct or representative. Antle, 2008. Contexts. Participatory ergonomics. In implementing effective ergonomics, we cannot focus on technology alone. We must understand the context in using comprehensive management concepts. Vink et al., 2008. Capturing knowledge must account for social and organizational factors. Karinka, 1997, Leitinen et al., 1998. / 16. Participatory Ergonomics. An effective P program encourages workers to identify the hazards or risk factors in their workplace. Risk can be shaped by different workplace components, multidimensional in nature. Those related to the individual job. Those related to worksite environment. Those related to organizational issues. Kan et al. 2006. Need to understand that occupational risk exists on many levels. In a 2008 study, Vink et al. Theoretically proposed the different levels of involvement of participants in each step of the P process, participatory ergonomics, who is involved. Vink et al. 2008. Top management. Middle management. Employee. Ergonomist. Designer. Internal staff. Company differences. Vink et al. 2008 Top management, Step 1 Middle management, Steps 1, 4. Employee, Steps 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9. Ergonomist, Steps 2, 3, 5. Designer, Steps 3, 5, 7. Participatory ergonomics. Vink et al. 2008, Results. Middle management also involved in implementation. Employees also involved in adjustment. Ergonomist role limited in later stages such as adjusting and implementation. Multidimensional model with implications for participatory ergonomics. Kan et al. 2006. Lay versus expert understandings of workplace risk in the food service industry, A. Multidimensional model with implications for participatory ergonomics. How do perceptions differ? Kan et al. 2006. Explored the understandings of risk as felt by food service workers and how these compare with an expert in risk assessment. They note that the risk literature usually focuses on the evaluation of trained experts. Kan et al. 2006, Findings. Ergonomists may be insufficient for successful workplace change and intervention. Workers are knowledgeable and their knowledge is a result of experience. Workers identify the same risks as the ergonomist, just in more detail. How can we train those involved in P programs? Can take several forms. Be careful with media selection. Lectures versus video/computer-based learning. Hands-on learning. Employees should feel as though they are active part of the program. Success factors for organizational change. Success factors for organizational change. The employment of long-term strategies for the company and the ability to make the necessary resources available. Adequate participation of individuals and groups affected by the changes. Consideration of impact of companies or a plan's culture. Zink et al. 2008. Success factors for organizational change. Coherence between different change initiatives. Emphasis on structures and behaviors considering the interdependencies between them. Change initiatives seen as evolutionary process but not as time-limited programs. Zink et al. 2008. P factors for success. Literature identifies the several P requirements. Koningsveld, Dull, Van Rijn, and Vink, 2005, Deleuze, Erlings, Vink, Van Rijn, and Miedema, 2001, Haynes, Wilson, Vink, and Koningsveld, 2002, Salim, Kleiner, and Nussbaum, 2003. Existence or absence of these factors determine the success of the intervention and long-term improvement of ergonomics OHS capacity at the company. 29. Common framework success factors. Identifying the involvement of key personnel, developing a steering committee. Having a P-trained ergonomic facilitator. Having participation of employees from all levels of the organization in as direct a manner as possible. Having strong management commitment. Focusing on employees' satisfaction, production factors and other such outcomes, not just health implications. Using a stepwise strategy for the project. Ensure proper tools and equipment are available. 30. P in small workplaces. How can we successfully implement changes? Participatory ergonomics in small workplaces. Kogi, 2008, reviewed the use of trainers in helping local people in small work environments and the improvements they can help make in different work scenarios. Organized partners in Asian intercountry. Kogi, 2008. Trainers' role as facilitator focused on local practical improvements that had real impacts in the workplace. Kogi, 2008. Programs dealing with work-related risks were organized according to the target groups. Risks addressed were needle stick injuries, MSD, mental stress situations, irregular hours/overwork situations. WISE training programs applied to small construction sites and home workplaces. Trainers played crucial role in facilitating learning of local good practice, low-cost ideas, and follow-up activities. Similar roles played in wind programs. Kogi, 2008. Trainers in these programs contributed to the adjustment of training materials to local conditions through the observation of local good practices and photographic examples. Kogi, 2008. Second stage of facilitation was concerned with the planning of immediate improvements. Planning done by participating managers, workers or farmers themselves. Crucial in each program. Kogi, 2008. Kogi, 2008, Effects of Participatory Steps. Practical improvements had been achieved in work and life conditions. Improvements in reduced injury risks, work environment, lighting, ventilation, machine guarding, and chemicals handling. Reduced physical and muscular loads. Kogi, 2008, Concluding remarks. A trainer's facilitative role is more effective when these support functions are followed. Building local initiative for action. Focus on practical options. Confirmation of benefits of the improvements achieved through feedback. Barriers to the P process. Key barriers to P process. 3 issues in P process noted by Institute for Work and Health, 2009. Having support for P program from the organization. Having resource commitment from the organization. Having open communication about the P program. Barriers to P process. Can et al. 2006. A key barrier to shared knowledge is not due to expertise, but the inability or unwillingness to incorporate different types of knowledge and expertise to accomplish a common goal. What happens when P interventions are not considered successful? When P interventions are not successful. Laing et al. 2007, investigated the purpose of a P program in reducing WMSD. Wanted to assess whether an intervention influenced pain severity based on aspects of the change process. Used a sister plant in the corporation as a reference group. Laing et al. 2007. There was an increase reported in enhanced communication regarding ergonomic issues. However, when the final assessment took place, there was no real change in worker perception or pain severity. What went wrong? Laing et al. 2007, Possible explanations, worker input. Limited intervention intensity. Context/co-intervention differences between the two plants. Lack of sensitivity/specificity in psychosocial measures used. Laing et al. 2007, Worker input. Improved communication dynamics may be a requirement for changes to occur in worker perception of workplace decision latitude and influence. May not be sufficient enough. Why? Workers may perceive that their input is ignored. This may lead to decrease in decision latitude. Laing et al. 2007, Limited intervention intensity. Intervention period may have been too short, 10 months. Lack of commitment by ECT team. Logo/participation in 1-minute survey. Use a representative participation approach. Employees may not have felt involved in process of change. Laing et al. 2007. Context/co-intervention differences between the two plans. A history of mistrust and non-participatory practices between labor and management existed at the intervention plant. New management 4 months into intervention period. Laing et al. 2007. Lack of sensitivity/specificity in psychosocial measures used. Psychosocial exposures measures may not have been sensitive enough for the specific changes involved with a particular intervention. More thoughts need to be given to tool development used to measure outcomes affected by work. Intensity equals critical. P Blueprint. Wells, Fraser, and Laing. 2000. P Blueprint. A facilitator's guide for implementing a successful P program as part of an organization's health and safety program. Establishes the groundwork to gain management support, set up a P change team and initiate basic training in ergonomics. P Blueprint has an ergonomic process and a health and safety process. Is the organizational structure that supports the ergonomic process. Wells, Fraser, Norman, Laing, 2001. P Blueprint ergonomic process, 2 cycles, reactive cycle. Facilitator identifies risk, evaluates priorities, proposes solutions, implements and evaluates a prototype in order to adopt solutions. Proactive cycle. Uses feedback from previous changes to ensure that ergonomic principles are used in purchasing and design of new equipment. P Blueprint ergonomic process. These processes are complementary and required. Both of these processes use a common solution building, evaluation, and adoption approach. P Blueprint, Startup. Reactive process. This part of the process addresses the immediate ill health and other concerns due to poor ergonomics. Reactive process Phase 1, Opportunities for improvement. Identify jobs, tasks or processes where workers experience greater rates of MSD or other indicators of poor ergonomic quality. Then integrate this data to determine which jobs may need further ergonomic investigation and assessment. Reactive process Phase 2. Assess ergonomic risk factors and prioritize jobs for improvement. Prioritize ergonomic interventions for the jobs identified in previous step. Reactive process Phase 3 Build solutions. Develop a prototype/trial solution to address the risks identified in the previous step. Reactive process Phase 4 Prototype implementation. Implement solutions on a small scale or proactively as a computer simulation where possible. This can judge its ergonomic quality and interactions with other equipment and processes. Reactive process Phase 5 Prototype evaluation. Estimate the ergonomic quality of the prototype solution. Reactive process Phase 6 Implement solution. Allow for the smooth introduction of the solution after prototype trials. Continue monitoring the effect of the changes and still look for opportunities for improvement. Proactive approach. Proactive approach. Develops guidelines in all relevant departments. This aids to incorporate ergonomic information into decision making. Uses ergonomic tools. This allows prediction of the effects of design decision on human health and performance.